Hello everyone. Good evening in Thailand and good afternoon in UK. Welcome to the 19th episode of Cricketing Blues. Hope you all are doing well and vaccinated. Today we are having this episode to talk and know about an all-rounder, Adam Ball, who played for Kent Cricket County team and also captained England under 19 team in 2012 World Cup, which was hosted in Australia. Adam Ball is from Berkeley and studies sports science from the University of Kent. As a child, Adam was also a promising footballer who played for Arsenal in under 9 to under 12 age group. At the age of 16, he was selected for England under 19 team and made his debut against Afghanistan in 2010. He was also part of a World Cup and signed his first professional contract with Kent in the same year at the age of 16. Adam played for England under 19 until 2012, captaining the side in 2012 under 19 World Cup in Australia. He's an ex-cricketer at Kent Cricket County team and right now level 2 cricket coach and coaches at Linkfield College. To discuss more about him, we will bring him on the screen. But before that, I would like to mention that it's not a great day for all the cricket fans. It's a World Test Championship match which is going to happen in Southampton between India and New Zealand. Not a great day. It's raining at Southampton. We expect our game time soon. So let's bring Adam on the screen. Hi, Adam. How are you?
Hi, Irfan. I'm very good. Yourself?
I'm good too. Thanks for asking. I hope you are vaccinated for COVID-19 now.
Yeah, I managed to get my first one on Sunday. So my second one's due in a couple of months' time. So yeah, hopefully double dosed up and can get traveling again soon.
Oh, that's great. Oh, hope you get a second jab soon. My first jab is due on 1st of July. So let's hope everything will be fine. Actually, I'm personally very happy to host you as today our viewers will get to know more about under 19 cricket and county cricket and coaching side of your career as well. So let's start hitting some questions. Are you ready to take up the questions?
Yep, looking forward to it.
That's great. So this is my first question to you. What type of person Adam Ball is as a cricketer and coach? How it all started for you when you started playing cricket and all?
Yeah, so I suppose I'll run you through a little bit of my story, and
Yep.
then that probably leads on to what my thoughts are as a cricketer, and then also as a coach.
Yep.
And I think some great words there about obviously my career. Unfortunately, that has ended now, but a great sort of 8 years as a professional cricketer.
Yep.
There's some great experiences along the way that hopefully I'll be able to draw upon and share with you today. But yeah, you touched on it briefly, but I suppose as a sports person, where it first started for me was at Arsenal as a footballer.
Wow.
Between the ages of 9 and 12, I was playing down there, and yeah, I suppose I think then when I was playing football, I hadn't played any cricket until the age of 11, so I only started playing cricket when I was 11. So in
Okay.
sort of the last couple of years of my time at Arsenal, I started playing some cricket and. I suppose, yeah, maybe it opened my eyes a little bit in that football wasn't the only thing out there. And
Yeah.
I think in the end, I probably found the love for cricket as opposed to the football. And that I suppose, one journey ended with Arsenal and one began playing with Kent. So yeah, fortunately, obviously worked out in the end. But yeah, I suppose one thing to note from there and something to mention on is that I did get the privilege of playing with a young Harry Kane that's obviously going to be stepping out
Wow.
tonight and captaining the England side against the Scots, which is a big game for us over here
Yes.
in the UK. But yeah, as a 9, 10, 11-year-old, I got to play with Harry, who's obviously gone on to some wonderful achievements, and I suppose being able to say that I was potentially part of his development that is not a bad feat, I suppose. But yeah, so I suppose from ending playing football with Arsenal, I then essentially got on I suppose the cricketing roller coaster really, where at age 11 I'd only just started playing cricket, and straight away I was in the Kent system. I was probably one of those annoying people that had a bit of a natural eye for a ball, and any sport I sort of threw myself at, I could sort of compete and work out a way of trying to be successful. And I suppose, I was fortunate to then get on the Kent Academy at age 14. Which then gives you that sort of extra provision of physio, strength and conditioning, psychology stuff, your nutrition, all the stuff that comes with being a professional sportsman. Unfortunately, I was able to get access to that at a relatively early age, which obviously then stood me in very good stead going forward. And I suppose in life in general, was able to draw upon lots of knowledgeable people, and I suppose get a pretty rounded view of how to be a professional sportsman needs to be, which obviously now in what I do now, coaching, have some very, very valuable sort of information that I can pass on to the aspiring cricketers that are out there. And then, I think as you mentioned, I after being on the academy, I then got my first professional contract age 16. And that come basically off the back of being selected for an England under-19 World Cup sort of a couple of years early. So I was an under-17 and I played in the under-19, and that come for a bit of misfortune really. It was actually a lad I ended up playing with at Kent, Callum Haggett. He had a heart scan before he went, and they found sort of something untoward in there, and they basically said that if he overexerted or got hit there, he could just drop dead at an instant, a bit like obviously what happened with Christian Eriksen, and a couple of other people it's happened to with heart problems. And I think it's definitely come to fruition that these athletes, they are obviously fit, but they could also anything can happen to them. So he unfortunately wasn't able to go, and I was able to step in and go, and like you said, made my debut against Afghanistan, which was probably the most nervous time I've ever been on a cricket field.
Butterflies in the stomach.
That's exactly it. And then off the back of that, I got my first contract, and then went on to captain the England under-19 team when it was my year. So when I was an under-19, I went and captained it. In between that, I played a fair few sort of England under-19 games, test matches, one-day internationals, and then also played quite a bit of 2020 and one-day cricket for Kent. So it was a great time in my life, really. I was a 17, 18, 19-year-old cricketer travelling the world and playing in Kent's first team. I suppose, I was doing what I loved at age 18, 19. I couldn't ask for anything more, really. And I suppose, unfortunately, it probably went a little bit downhill from there, unfortunately. And I signed a 3-year deal at 21.
Wow.
After at Kent, after sort of coming out that under-19 era and playing it quite regularly for the Kent team. And I think I ended up only playing around about 9 first-team games in the next 3 years. So it sort of started off, I suppose, being the next best thing, and unfortunately didn't sort of progress from there.
I understand.
Which again isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it probably ended in a way when it probably shouldn't really. But I suppose looking back, I can't really complain. I worked as hard as I could to get where I could. I tried my hardest, and unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be. So I suppose when I did get released, I ended up sort of almost saying, "Well, it's not really happening. I'm gonna crack on with life, try and work out what I'm gonna do for the rest of my life now, and start preparing for the future." And unfortunately, I sort of was in a position to go and try a number of things, and one of them was being a mortgage advisor, which for the guys in over in Thailand. That's dealing with real estate, and essentially it's advising on a large bank loan
That's great.
from the bank for people to buy houses, basically. And I suppose going and doing that was a massive eye opener for me, because essentially it was a proper job in that. You have to sit at a desk all day and work pretty
Yeah,
hard, as opposed to being out in the field and getting paid to play
yeah,
cricket. So it was a bit different, and I suppose it made me realise that actually I still need to be involved with sport and coaching kids and giving back a lot of knowledge that I've got to these aspiring cricketers. And I suppose that's where it leaves me today, is that I've managed to pick up a great role at a nice little private school in Lingfield,
yeah. Okay,
and yeah, I'm absolutely loving it,
that's great.
and being able to give back and being around the
Yeah.
youngsters all day, it keeps you young and keeps you on the toes. That's for sure.
True. As you mentioned, you tasted a success in very early years, and then once it's ended at the release, you signed a release form. Later on, it was a high time for you to figure it out what exactly you're gonna do next. And later on, as we always say, once a cricketer, always a cricketer. The passion always drive, and the cricket comes back to you, and you go near to cricket. So it's glad that you are still working with the kids and as the grassroots development. So I hope sooner or later it will be worth it. And you also started playing football when you were very young and played for Arsenal, age group 9 to 12, as I mentioned earlier. Then you were also part of a cricket setup in next 2 to 3 years. So it was quite a big shift very early. So my next question is on that. Professional footballer to a professional cricketer, sports shift. Tell us something about it.
Yeah, I suppose unfortunately with football and cricket, so I suppose a little bit how it works in India and in sort of Asia, where cricket is their number one sport. And I suppose
Yes,
over here, football's our number one sport.
true.
And I think I suppose I was very fortunate, really,
Yeah,
with football and at Arsenal, naturally, the provision that we got as a 9-year-old, like I'd get a new pair of boots every season.
yeah,
You'd get access to your physio, you get access to everything, state of the art
yeah,
training facilities. And then you go to cricket and it's sort of all a bit like sort of self-funded. Parents have got to pay for the kit,
yeah,
take you here, take you there. And I suppose, yeah, the sort of the athletic side of it as well with cricket was only really when I started getting into it was starting to change. And you sort
yeah.
of noticed it a little bit in that when you was at Arsenal, every kid was fit. I was the slowest in my team,
Okay,
and I wasn't necessarily slow.
yeah,
And then I went to cricket, and I was probably the fastest in my team.
okay,
And yeah, you could certainly tell the difference between the type of individual that played football and played cricket at the height, at the elite level at that sort of age.
yeah,
But I suppose the fundamental things don't really change, in that
yeah,
you still
uh,
need to be resilient. You still need to work hard.
yeah,
You still have to have that self belief. You have to have that inner drive
yeah,
to want to get better and that. So I noticed you just brought up that picture. So if you
yeah,
look in the front right, so
yeah.
the front right is Harry Kane.
Okay, that's great.
So that's him. So other lads that are still playing, you've got Benik Afobe. I'm
Yeah,
not too sure where he's at. He was at Wolves for a bit and Stoke, I think. Chuks Anikis, who's at Charlton,
yeah.
who I support actually. So Chuks is playing for my team.
Wow.
Nico Yanaris, I know, played quite a few times for Arsenal's first team. I know he went off to Brentford, but I'm not too sure where he's at now.
So
And the goalkeeper.
all these
The,
guys gone big time in football.
yeah, that's it. They're earning probably what I earn in a year in a week
Yeah,
or a month.
that's true.
So yeah, different world. The amount of money in football, but yeah, I suppose being able to experience both both at a relatively elite level was very fortunate. And again, even though I'm my specialism is cricket, regardless of what sport an individual's trying to be good at, I have sort of the same sort of key messages are there for whatever sport you're sort of relating to, really.
Yeah, that's true, because whatever sports you're playing, once you're a sportsman, it's not that difficult to shift the sports, because in and out, you have that in your um, mind and body. It knows that what needs to be done. And as you mentioned, you were a slow footballer but a fast cricketer, so that is
Yeah.
pretty difficult to understand, but it worked out for you, so that's great. You have played two World Under 19 World Cups with likes of Joe Root, Butler, Ben Foakes, Ben Stokes, James Vince, and lots of other players who are still playing county cricket and international cricket. So, would you mind telling us, captaining these big teams, big players, experience, any incidents or any learnings you had?
Yeah, so I suppose what I mentioned earlier, that first under 19 World Cup that I went to was with the likes. So it was Joe Root, Ben Stokes, James Vince, Josh Butler, and then quite a few others that are still playing county cricket and are
Yeah,
having very successful careers. And I suppose, yeah, obviously some big names there in the likes of Root, Stokes, and Butler. And
yeah,
Vince probably hasn't necessarily done as much as probably what he has the ability to do, because he's a very talented player. But I think sort of a big lesson that I saw from them was that Stokes and Josh Butler, you could sort of tell that they were the best players by a country mile. Them two and James Vince, best players by a country mile. But Root, on the other hand, there's no way at 19 that you would have said that he'd have the career that he's had.
okay,
And I suppose looking back on like how he went about his business, he was always the last one in the nets, hitting balls. His work ethic was second to none. He wasn't necessarily the most talented, but yeah, God, did he work hard. So I think a great lesson there for anyone, in that you don't necessarily have to be the most talented, but if you have that dedication, that self-belief, and the will to win and do well, you can still be as successful as someone that has the talent on their side. And there's lots of scenarios. Again, James Vince is probably the one, not a bad one, where look, he's had a great county career, but then when
yeah,
he's gone to the next level on the Test arena or
yeah,
international, he hasn't necessarily done it. Where
clicked. Yeah,
Joe Root, again, not necessarily the most talented, but stepping up to that next level, he's been able to work it out, adapt, and be successful. So I suppose, yeah, that sort of key message works in all walks of life, really.
yeah,
But I suppose one that definitely stood out for me, going through that. And then I suppose, obviously, going on from that and experiencing playing under them guys, I was then obviously able to then go on to then pass on my experiences to guys that were my age, and
yeah,
captain them players. Which I think, again, captain any team or being a leader of any group of individuals is always quite tough,
yeah,
but is a great learning, because it gives you lots of sort of key core
true.
skills that will enable you to survive in sort of any walk of life, really. And I think the sort of key things that come out is obviously understanding people, and how different people operate. Unfortunately, we're all individuals, and you might have to treat one person one way, and one person the other, and
True.
then also just understand everyone's sort of different motivations, how they get motivated. It is also a key thing. But I think, yeah, naturally captaining your country is obviously a great honour.
Great honor.
So one
True.
thing that will obviously sort of stick with me for a long time, and I probably don't realise actually what I did, but yeah, if you to turn around and say that you captain your country or only at under 19 level, it obviously is no mean feat, really. So, so yeah, I probably I'm starting to understand it a little bit more now. I've come out of sort of being in that bubble and actually realizing that what I actually did as a youngster, as opposed to sort of seeing it as the norm.
Yeah.
But yeah, some valuable lessons learned, and was able to take that on into sort of my next few years of my career. I captained a lot for the Kent second team.
Wow.
So I suppose in terms of sort of my knowledge of the game and understanding of tactics and field placings and how it all works, obviously again has then stood me in good stead for what I'm doing now from a coaching perspective, and getting kids to not only have the skills but understand the game, which I think is the hardest thing for people to get. Is that, all right, there's one thing being able to hit a cricket ball, but you got to then understand everything else that goes with it: the running between the wickets, the fielding,
Yeah.
all of the rules that go with it, and the tactics. So yeah, I think again, a great sort of three. I think it was 3 years being able to play with and
The
against
big
some great
names. Yeah.
players.
Yeah.
Not necessarily at the time, but I suppose understanding, seeing what they did, which then obviously led to them
True.
becoming great players, was very very valuable, and something that not many people can obviously say that they've seen or did. So yeah, some very valuable lessons learned, and I hope for anyone watching, there's potential some good bits to pick out from that as well.
Yeah, a couple of good points to take from what you just answered. Is like, it's not necessary how good you player you are. If in early years you get a taste, then you have to keep on building your game, keep on working hard to sustain for a longer period of time. That's how Joe Root, as you mentioned, did. Plus, also we have to think that it's not necessarily you are a very good uh, batsman or a player. It's not necessary that you might be a great leader too, a captain too. So it's quite a different thing. Both things does not work at the same time. So yeah, you had a very good and very smooth and early transition from your junior level cricket to first class county cricket. Tell us something about your transition from junior level to county cricket.
Yeah, I suppose I haven't really thought too much about this one actually, but just I suppose probably something that didn't necessarily help me too much actually. In terms of potential, a reason why I probably didn't necessarily go on was that
Yeah.
growing up. So I got all of my opportunities as a bowler.
Yes.
I think naturally as a youngster, most youngsters will play as a bowler
Yeah.
because there's more chance of them being, I suppose, able to get into the game a little bit more from a bowling point of view, as opposed to batting. Like 16, 17, 18-year-olds still haven't necessarily physically matured
True.
as of yet. So there's that sort of element to it. Can they hit the ball hard enough and stuff like that?
Yeah.
And I think all along, I was never ever really probably an out and out bowler.
Yeah.
Looking back on it, I was a left arm seamer
Yes.
that bowled. So I don't know, bowled sort of 80 mile an hour. Never sort of express. But I suppose growing up, I had a real good element of control, and I suppose a good head on my shoulders, in that I just worked out what I needed to do in any sort of given circumstances.
Yeah.
And I suppose that's why I probably ended up getting a go. And when I got my go, it was in 2020, right? So I made my debut in a one-day game, and then I played when I was under 18.
Yeah.
I played a full season of 2020. Now, obviously, in 2020, bowlers need to basically bowl anything and everything, as opposed to
Yeah.
length balls, because if you bowl a length ball, you're probably going to be fetching it from the stands.
Yeah, that's true.
So I sort of learned how to bowl Yorkers, slower balls, and essentially bowl a different ball every ball. Now at the age of 17, actually, that's quite a good thing that I had that in my armoury. But probably what it didn't enable me to do was actually develop a nice solid foundation of where in red ball cricket, so in the longer format, when you're just running up and essentially bowling the same ball every ball, you learn how to swing the ball, keep the seam
Yeah.
up, and find your length. A
True.
good length. I probably didn't necessarily not do that, or I didn't do that, and I didn't know that, so I didn't fully establish what my sort of bowling action was. And I suppose off the back of that, what then happened was that I then went from trying to then, when I come back to playing sort of red ball cricket, I didn't necessarily have that control of just bowling line and length, because I didn't have that solid foundation. So I suppose a nice key learning there is really, and it goes with batting as well, is I think you've got to have that solid foundation. So from a batting point of view, it's your defence. You've got to be solid in defence, off the back foot, off the front foot, before you can then start experimenting with reverse sweeps, laps, and all these funky shots. You know what I mean? So loads of kids now are like, "Oh, I want to do what Josh Butler and Ben Stokes are doing." And it's like, well, unfortunately, they've spent hours developing a foundation, which then enables them to then do that. So, and I think it's the same with bowling, is that actually you want to learn how to hit top of off stump 6 balls out of 6 before you then start going from, because so from there you can then start learning how to bowl a Yorker, your slower balls and bouncers and stuff like that, as opposed to trying to mix it up first and then establish it. So I think that was probably my sort of quite a key learning from that transition.
That's great.
But I'm gonna. Sorry, someone's just coming in here.
Pretty much. Yeah, that's okay. Pretty much as you mentioned. Basically, you have to start bowling in length. You have to start bowling at length. So once you start bowling at length, and then once you are very much into that game, and then you can develop your bowling skills. You can start bowling Yorkers, and you can start experimenting so that it can be good in T20 cricket. But that's a great thing to know, Adam. It's a good learning for the youngsters. Apart from that, the county championship is the main 4-day first-class cricket competition in England. And you also signed a 3-year deal with Kent when you were at the age of 16. And in T20 matches, you end up at Kent's leading wicket taker in the competition with 12 victims at a respectable average of 18. So tell us pretty much about the county experience and how county cricket work, because you have worked and you have experiences closely with the county cricket. Can you tell us exactly more about the county cricket?
Sorry, apologies about that. Some of the kids just come in. So in terms of county cricket, we have 18 counties over here, and basically we have 3 competitions. So you have the county championship, which is a 4-day competition. You have a 2020 competition, and then you have a 50 over competition. Now in the county championship, I suppose that's the pinnacle basically, and with that, it's basically there's a Division 1 and a Division 2. So so it's relegation and promotion. So if you finish in the bottom 2 in Division 1, and then if you win Division 2, you go up. So that's how I suppose it works over here. And there's also the 100 that's coming in. It's a franchise competition, which is obviously a bit like the IPL, but is obviously in the 100 ball format, which should be interesting to see how that, or whether that even takes off. It's pretty full on over here, and it's a bit different to how it works in other places. So somewhere like Australia, it's sort of a bit more sporadic, and I suppose there's a build up for a game, where in the UK it's a bit sort of quick fire, and there's all sorts. It's sort of game after game after game after game. And when I was playing, they sort of experimented with it, but it's changed now. We would play a 4-day game, Monday to Thursday,
Yeah.
or I think it was Sunday to Wednesday, and then we play a 20-20 on a Friday.
Oh, wow, that's a great. So
And then
full week of cricket.
yeah, that's it. And I suppose that interchanging of sort of going from one format to the other was also quite tough, in that you only had
True.
you potentially have a day off, but actually you probably
Yeah.
need to come in to make sure that you're ready for the following day. So yeah, they've changed that a little bit now, in that it's sort of blocked out a little bit more, where it's sort of 4-day stuff to start, then 20-20, 50 over, and it's sort of blocked out. But yeah, at times when I was playing, it was a bit of a roller coaster journey, and it was sort of just get on it and see where you end up, basically.
Yeah, a lot of cricket, correct? Because normally when you play a lot of cricket, every like 5 days or 6 days in a week, you are more prone to injuries, and
Yeah.
couple of also injuries hamper your cricket development at very young age, as we all know. So, do you mind telling us about your injuries and recoveries, which have an impact on a cricketer, and how you recovered?
Yeah, so I suppose actually it was probably a good thing that I got injured when I was 15. I had a stress fracture of the back, and I
Oh my God.
suppose it was probably a good thing that it happened, really, because it taught me early on how important it was to the whole recovery and making
Yeah.
sure your body's nice and strong. So it got me into good habits straight away, and naturally being injured with my back, obviously the core stability side of things was highlighted. And I suppose from there, it was that was just my biggest key thing, was making sure that I had a strong sort of core, which was enable my body to deal with the force and the impact of standing in a field all day and bowling some overs.
True.
But I think, yeah, my key thing was the whole sort of how the body moved, is trying to understand that as quickly as possible, and getting to know your body. So again, I still have them now, but everyone has their own unique sort of niggles that they have,
True.
and it's trying to understand as early as possible what they are, and whether they're injuries or whether it's just something that you can get through. And it's a hard thing to understand, because you have
True.
sort of one or the other, don't you?
Yeah.
You have. Oh, sorry, I'm getting. So sorry.
That's okay. We are pretty much on the casual chat, so that's
Yeah.
okay. Somebody wants to disturb you, that's fine with us. But yeah, as you just mentioned, injuries are the part and parcel of the game. It's like how quickly you can get off to that injury, and it makes you feel like you're lagging behind. But yeah, obviously, once you back yourself and once you work hard for that injury, I think it's pretty much okay to survive the blow. Correct?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, when you get injured at the time, it's the worst thing ever. Especially if you're a youngster.
Yeah.
It's not ideal. But I think, again, it's trying to understand the long term sort of development, and take
Yeah.
it again as a positive and learn from
Yeah.
the experience, as opposed to seeing it as the end of the world. And I think, again, you have to be a certain type of individual to have that sort of perspective on it.
Yeah.
But I think for anyone that's listening, if you do come up with an injury, it's trying to see the long-term picture, and do everything that you can in the short term to enable you to get to becoming fit again, and also coming back stronger,
Yes. True.
later on down the line.
Yeah. Correct. Bad news for cricket fans. First day has been called off for that World Test Championship, but it's okay. We have a reserve day. We'll sooner see some cricket action from tomorrow onwards. You have played in subcontinents, Australia, South Africa, and different part of the world. So my next question is exactly about your experience in playing these conditions. Can you tell us something about how player has to adjust to play in these different playing conditions?
Yeah, so again, you've obviously mentioned the weather over in the UK. Yeah,
Yeah,
unfortunately, as a batter or even a bowler, we come across a variety of different conditions
yeah,
throughout the course of the season.
yeah,
At the moment, obviously today it's raining, but naturally in the UK, there's quite often where there's overhead sort of
mm,
cloud, and obviously the UK is renowned for the swinging ball.
yeah,
And I think again that obviously then is sort of reflects the type of cricketer that England produce, I suppose. So Jimmy Anderson obviously is a bowler, swing
yeah,
bowler, hits a line and length. We usually struggle to find guys that bowl pretty
yeah,
quick like the Australians do, because unfortunately our wickets over here just don't yeah, I suppose what's the word? Inspire anyone to bowl quick, basically, because
yeah,
you bowl a short ball and it bounces once to the keeper. Um, and then I think from a batting point of view, we sort of struggle, I suppose, to potentially find them guys that are free and play their shots. Because again, with the ball moving around, unfortunately, you
yeah.
can't do that. You have to wait for the ball and play it under your eyes.
True.
Um, so yeah, so then obviously taking that sort of foundation of how we play to then over to say in Australia where the wickets are nice and bouncy and actually quite true.
Yeah.
And also what I find out of there is that the outfields are quite spongy, the way that the
Yes.
grass grows and that. And one thing I found out there was that I was used to hit because of how late we had to play. I used to hit the ball into the floor.
Yeah.
Um, so over here, you'd play that on sort of we have quite big squares. So
Yes.
you'd hit it onto a square and it would go and it would sort of roll and go. Where in
Yeah. Roll go.
Australia,
Yeah.
you'd hit it into the ground, and it would almost drop dead because it would just go
Grass
into the
spongy.
spongy
Yeah.
outfield.
Mm.
And then when their players will come out to bat, they hit the ball hard out in front of them, hit the ball flat along the floor, so that
Yeah.
it actually obviously goes for four. So it was quite interesting. That was sort of something that I definitely picked up from playing over here to playing in Australia.
So these
Um,
small adjustments do play a lot of a key role in your game, correct? Like in subcontinents, you hardly get green wickets, and it's most of the time it's too hot, humid, and the ball does not swing that much. So it you need to have a lot of adjustment in your game, correct?
100%. I think cricket is one of those games where it's so tough because from one day to the next it
Yeah,
changes. You can score 100 one day, get naught the next,
yeah,
and the conditions change. You can have a wicket in bright sunshine, it's
yeah.
absolutely fine. You then the next day rock up and it's overcast and it's a completely different wicket.
True.
Um, so yeah, you have to be very adaptable as a cricketer,
Yeah,
and I think again, obviously, noted how when England went over to the subcontinent this winter, we was obviously in India and got pretty outplayed.
yeah.
Um, it's very tough when you don't play on them type of wickets and face them type of bowlers on a regular basis.
Correct.
So yeah, being able to switch from condition to condition is definitely an art.
Yeah.
And yeah, the best players in
That's
the
how
world
you
are able to do it.
that's how you adapt and do well in this condition. That's true. Let's move to your professional coaching career, Adam, which you are pursuing right now. You have played a county cricket and two under 19 World Cups. At what point did you start recognizing the importance of mental aspect of the game and the coaching side? How did the transition to coaching happen actually?
Yeah, so to be fair, when I was playing, the coach, my academy coach at the time, actually got me involved, sort of coaching the younger age groups at Kent, and on the academy, as much as he could, really, not just because of what's happening now, really, giving me that exposure to what potentially might happen after my career. So
Yeah,
I suppose forever grateful for him to do that, in that I was able to start developing sort of coaching techniques from an early age without even realizing. But I suppose, yeah, it probably took. When I come out of the game, I did some coaching naturally because it was, I suppose, an easy route for me to go down. Really, it paid
Yeah,
relatively well, and it ticked me over for a little while whilst I wanted to establish exactly what I wanted to do. Now,
yeah,
I suppose probably because of what happened with my playing career, and it probably ended a little bit too soon. I may have had a little bit of a sort of grudge against cricket, and probably had lost that little bit of an appetite for it.
yeah,
And probably when I then was coaching, that sort of, it was almost a case of, well, I don't want to rely on being involved with cricket for the rest of my life, because I've got a bit of a sour taste towards it.
yeah,
Then I suppose what it took for me, it took me to come out of the game and go and get a proper job and do a real job, what most people do, to realise essentially how lucky I had it.
yeah,
And that essentially then sparked me, sort of re-sparked my enthusiasm for the game, and made me realise how much knowledge I've got to give back.
yeah,
To these kids, and especially kids that are aspiring cricketers, and the more talented ones.
yeah.
I think there's definitely some key things that I'm able to give back to them, rather than sort of your general level, or level 2 coach that's just got an interest in cricket, and has played maybe sort of a first 11 club standard. Um, so yeah, so that sort of enabled me to spark that enthusiasm. And I suppose this summer now, where I'm at the school, I've absolutely loved it, and it's more of a grassroots level and not necessarily at the elite level.
Yeah.
But I suppose just being able to try and develop a bit of a passion for the game in
Yeah.
youngsters, and again, whether they become England cricketers or whether they just go and play for their club's second or third
Correct.
team, actually, they've given them an opportunity to have cricket as a part of their life for the rest of their life.
True.
It is a great thing, because cricket is a great game. You meet lots of people. You get a great network off the back of it. And yeah, although you on the field, you always try and play hard and fair. You always have a drink after the game, and yeah, talk about it, and talk about all the stories that have happened of what you've done and what you can't do on a cricket field. So
Correct.
no matter what level it is. So yeah, I'm absolutely loving what I'm doing at the moment. And I suppose, yeah, in the summer we get to be out in the sun all the time. So
Yeah.
yeah, can't complain.
So that's how it goes, correct? Because it like once you know in and out of the game, you have been there in that situation. It's pretty much easier for you to tell the kids what to do and what not to do under those circumstances. So that's a great thing to for kids to learn from a coach actually. So as we are talking about the team performance and the mental aspect of the game, please explain your thoughts on team performance and individual improvement. What all those key things you actually teach those kids for their improvement? Do you agree the team is only a collection of players but not also a composition?
Yeah, I suppose cricket's a fascinating game from that aspect, isn't it? Because it's a team game played by individuals, which is, yeah, I don't know, because there's that whole thing. There's no I in team, isn't it? But unfortunately, that individual has to have that little bit of selfishness to make
Yeah,
sure that they are on top form, that enables the team to perform.
yeah,
So it's a real difficult balance to get. But yeah, I agree. There's got to be that balance between that individual doing what they need to do to make sure that they're ready and contribute to the team.
yeah,
But also, yeah, do what they need to do for the team.
yeah,
Whether that's obviously field in a certain position, bat a certain way, sacrifice their wicket, whatever that is.
yeah.
There's got to be that sort of correct balance between that bit of selfishness, but also making sure that you're playing for the team, and
For the
that you've
team.
got the
Yeah,
best interest of
yeah,
the
that's
team
true.
at heart.
Yeah, as a sportsman at any level, Adam, like one often goes through a lean patch, correct? it's not necessary that you are always in form. So you often goes to a lean patch. What would you recommend? What would be the pro tip for amateurs who are going through a tough time and want to get back in the form? How exactly you motivate to your team?
Yeah, again, cricket's the best for this because you probably foul more times than you succeed. Especially if
Yeah,
you think it's only succeed if you get 100. That very
yeah,
rarely happens. So yeah, I think again, a bit like what I mentioned earlier about seeing the longer picture, and I
yeah,
suppose having that faith in that there's going to be a day that's going to be your day. If you keep doing the right things. Now that's not an excuse for slacking off. But
yeah,
if you have your same routines, you keep training as much, you keep doing the same things, eventually something's gonna sort of tick. And I think again that's what one thing that I found in that I suppose every day you sort of see as an opportunity, or I suppose as the be all and end all.
yeah.
But actually, can you just essentially enjoy that moment, regardless of whether
True.
it goes well or not, and just
Yeah,
essentially keep learning? Um, Rather than seeing it as a negative that you still can't score a run or you can't do what you want to do.
true.
Um, I listened to a podcast from Johnny Wilkinson that really sort of opened my eyes to how to potentially think and it totally amazed me what some of the stuff that he was saying. Um, but I think the key things that come out of it was being able to live in the moment all the time
Yeah,
and not sort of get too worried about any sort of background noise or stuff that's surrounding it, because the only person that is saying that you're out of form is you. No one
yeah,
else can
true.
determine whether you're in form or not. All
Yeah,
right, your stats say the stats say whether you're in form or not, but you could be scoring runs and feel like you're out of form, or you could be feel like you're in form and not being able to score a run. So it's a very yeah, I suppose form needs to go out the window really. And but it's the hardest thing to throw out the window because yeah, when you've got a lot of background noise and people speaking about it and stuff like that, then it's
yeah,
quite hard to ignore.
yeah, true.
Um, but yeah, I
And
think with
that does happen often when you are playing at a good level of cricket. You get to hear a lot of talks and social media and other parts. So it's all about on and off in the field, outside the field. Correct? You have to ignore and start doing what is good for your cricket.
well, yeah, at the end of the day, everyone's a normal person, right? So everyone wakes up in the morning, everyone does the same things. They have to put the dishes away, they have to cook
True.
dinner and stuff like that. So I suppose again is again understanding that playing a game of cricket, all right, you might not get any runs, is not the be all and end all, but
Yeah,
life will go on. Is is yeah quite a good place to be in,
yeah,
believe it or not, but obviously a very hard place to get yourself into, and I think that's where I'm at now, and it's definitely reflecting when I do play, because yeah, I'm most I suppose I'm not putting too much pressure on myself. I'm going out enjoying it, and as a result, I'm probably playing as well as I ever could ever have really.
yeah, great. So pretty much sums up. What's your future plans, Adam? From this point of view, what do you want to do next?
Yeah,
Anything?
so I suppose obviously at the moment I'm coaching at a school. I'm in the process of doing my level 3 qualification over here in the UK. Um, Open minded about sort of coaching down the sort of performance route, whether that goes anywhere. I'm currently doing the Kent under 14 team, so I've got a little element of that at the moment. Whether that goes on to potentially county academies or getting involved with first team stuff, who knows? I suppose a little bit open minded with that at the moment.
Yeah,
I've got a pretty good role here at the school. There's potential to stay sort of in the
yeah,
education environment and go down the teaching route. Um, so yeah, I think plenty of options available to me, and I think again sort of at the moment, I'm just going to continue to keep learning and developing as a coach.
Yeah.
And then see where we end up really. But I think at the moment I can't really ask for too much more.
Yeah, that's true. That pretty much understandable. Whatever you're doing right now in the coaching field, you want to excel in that same field. So, Adam, now let's go to our fun section where we will have a rapid fire questions for you. Are you ready to take on these questions? It's pretty much 10 questions on your way.
Yep, I'll give it a go.
Yeah, okay. County cricket 4 days, ODI or T20? Your favorite format?
I think from a playing point of view, you can't beat playing in a T20 in front of a packed house at the Oval. But from a purist point of view, the 4-day game is definitely the best game and produces the best cricketers, I think. But
I agree.
playing yeah, you can't beat a 2020.
That's true. A better captain, Joe Root or Owen Morgan?
Tough one, I suppose you could say. Probably Owen Morgan will be because he's actually got some silverware.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's true.
so yeah, we'll
Okay.
go with Owen Morgan.
Okay, that's great. 3 bowlers whom you find very challenging in current period.
I suppose, yeah. I obviously haven't faced any of the big guns at the recently, but when I was playing, I got the privilege to face a Mitchell Johnson, a
Yeah.
Mark Wood, and a Ryan Harris.
Okay.
That were three pretty fast and furious bowlers that weren't too pleasant to face.
Yeah, great. Adam, you also remodeled your bowling action and everything after looking at Mitchell Johnson. Is it correct?
Yeah, I'm not too sure that was. I remember that coming out. I didn't really remodel it on him because
Yeah,
he had a pretty unique bowling action.
true.
But I think him naturally being a left armer and a bit of an all rounder, I suppose I
Yeah.
aspired to be as good as him one day potentially. Unfortunately,
Okay.
it didn't work.
Yeah, that's okay. Part and parcel of the game. Sometimes it clicks,
Yeah.
sometimes it's not. Yeah. 3 batsmen in current era you rate very high.
Yeah, I think Zach Crawley, although he's going through a bit of a lean patch, I think he's going to
Yeah.
be pretty special. Was fortunate to
Okay.
play a lot of cricket with him in Kent's second team, and he definitely stood out as one to look out for.
Okay.
I think again one person that probably hasn't done as well as what he looks at. I played a lot of cricket with Joe Denley,
Okay.
and yeah, he obviously got a bit of an opportunity, and we saw glimpses of him at the test
Yeah.
arena. But as an all round cricketer, he's a very special player.
Yeah.
And one other to mention, and I don't know if anyone would be aware of him, but another Kent player, a bit biased to Kent here, but a
Yeah,
guy called
that's okay.
Darren Stevens, who's 44 years old and still
Wow.
doing his thing in the county game.
Great.
Yeah, with the bat and the ball. So
So age is just a number. So
yeah,
we can
that's
pretty much
it.
say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. By the way, your favorites for World Test Championship, India or New Zealand?
Yeah, I think in obviously our conditions are pretty similar to the New Zealand ones, so
Yeah.
I'd be back in New Zealand in these conditions.
True.
But it's a very talented India team, and on any given day, if them guys turn up, they can beat anyone. So yeah, India,
That's true.
New Zealand for now, but beware of the
Okay.
Indians.
Yeah, that's true. Your hobbies apart from cricket?
Yeah, so I've just actually got into my golf. Actually, I didn't play too much, but I'm really enjoying my golf at the moment. I've got the bug, as they say, and yeah, I also like to play a bit of football during the winter.
A couple of my friends in my team and also colleagues will be very happy listening and hearing this because golf is a go-to game for them. So when
Yeah,
they are not playing cricket, they are playing golf. So yeah,
yeah,
that's great. Yeah.
yeah.
So
It's a great game.
yeah, one complaint that your teammates always had about you.
I don't know really. I don't know whether I can say this on camera, but I'll make sure it's clean. Yeah, no. So I was always last in the change. I always used to take forever to get changed. So if we had an away game and people had to take me, they were always trying to take me because they knew I'd be last out of the changing room.
That's great. It happens, and most of the cricketers are there. That they do take a lot of time to get themselves prepared. So that's okay. One bowler you are thankful you don't have to face.
Probably when the ball's swinging and overhead conditions are in his favour is probably Jimmy Anderson.
True.
He looks pretty lethal.
Yeah,
But
he
then
can
also,
swing the ball both
yeah,
the ways. Yeah,
yeah, that's it. I think that there's quite a few in their conditions that you wouldn't want to be facing. That's for sure.
yeah, that's true. What's the comfort food for you? What's your go-to food?
um, I do enjoy a good just plain margarita pizza. Actually, really cheesy margarita pizza.
Yeah,
Pretty plain and simple. Actually, nothing to write home about, but the simple things are actually sometimes quite effective.
that's great. Couple of questions. One thing right on top of your bucket list.
Yeah,
Traveling.
probably. Well, yeah, I've been fortunate to do quite a bit of travelling, but probably being able to go to a Boxing Day Test match
Yeah,
at the MCG, probably Ashes and watching an Ashes game um, is probably up there.
yeah,
Was potentially planning on it this year, but I don't think it's going to happen because of COVID,
yeah.
unfortunately. But we'll get
Yep.
there one day, hopefully.
Once COVID gets finished and everything seems to be in normal place, Bangkok Blues Cricket Club from Thailand, Bangkok, would like to host you. Please come to Thailand and do play with us in our leagues and in our clubs matches. We also do Inter Blues cricket matches, so you are invited from our side as well.
Yeah, I'd love to. I've never been to Thailand, so
Looks like Adams got disconnected due to some issues. Let's wait for him for a couple of minutes so that we can finish it off. And guys, it's my pleasure to host him. And soon I'm going to start a new series of our show, which is dedicated for Thailand. I'll come back on that. Meanwhile, James has been added now. He came back pretty fast. Hi, Adams.
hi.
Hope
I'm
everything
not
is
too
okay.
sure. Yeah, I'm not too sure what happened there,
Oh, that's okay.
um,
That's
but
okay.
yeah, I'd be more than happy to come to Thailand. Thailand's definitely on the on the
Travel plan.
traveling list for sure. So I wouldn't mind ticking that off at
Great.
some point.
Good to hear that. So, if you are last question from my end, it's a rapid fire question. If you were an emoji, which one you would be?
Yeah, I don't know. There's a bit of a phase at the moment, isn't there, with these emojis? I haven't really got one to be honest. I do like the thumbs up one. I use that probably the most. So maybe yeah, just the thumbs up.
That's a great one actually. And thanks for answering all the questions, Adam. Because this is it from my end, and really appreciate giving us some time and answering some questions for our viewers. I'm pretty much happy to host you, and thank you for coming onto the show. I hope I can have you again soon and talk a bit more about English conditions and England cricket. So you would like to say anything on that note?
Yeah, no problem, Irfan. It's been good fun having a chat with you, and I hope the people listening have managed to take some good bits out of it. I think yeah, more than happy to stay in touch and provide
Sure, definitely,
any sort of information or come on again as and when you wish. And yeah, if anyone wants any information or wants to get in touch to have a chat, then just give me a shout on LinkedIn, Twitter, or
definitely,
Facebook, and I'll be more than happy to help. But yeah, I think if I could get out to Thailand at some point, that'd be great. Hopefully, when COVID's gone past and we've all had our vaccines, we can potentially touch base and see if I can come out and potentially play, but also maybe do some coaching as well.
yeah, definitely. We'll plan something out once the COVID situation gets over. And once again, I would like to thank you for giving your time today. It was pleasure to host you. All the best for your future. Be safe and take care.
Cheers, fan. Speak to you soon.
Cheers. Cheers.
Bye.
Speak to you soon. Have a nice time, man. Hey guys, this was Adam Ball, played county cricket for Kent. Quite a great guy to have on our show. And as I was mentioning about it, we sooner or later will be starting a new series of chat show where we will take stalwarts of Thailand cricket and we'll get to know more about Thailand cricket. I am trying to get more and more people from different, so that we get a different perspective of game, and it will be great to hear something about Thailand cricket from stalwarts of Thailand actually. So and also for my next show, which will be aired on 10th of July, I'll be hosting Sunil Chaturvedi, who is a match referee. So for ICC and for BCCI, and he had a great experience in the match, conducting all the matches for IPL as well. Um, so till that time, I expect you all to take care of yourself. Um, be safe. Have a great night. See you all soon. Thank you.